It's a nice sunny day, so I think I'd get back on the Spider. I'd like to get this car finished, and as you can see, the back road wheels are off, and I'm going to check out the state of the rear suspension, which is quite complicated on these cars, and some components can be very expensive to replace. So anyway, I'll give everything a bit of a dousing in some penetrating fluid, and I'm going to drop the spring pans, see what sort of state they're in first of all. So that's the first move, get it apart, take them off. Well, I've made a start on the rear suspension, and I've got the spring pan out, and this is the rear arm, and as you can see, that's a poly bush there. One of the so that's already been done, it's been poly bushed, and it's got a new shock on it, so that is a good thing. And the spring pan, it's a bit dirty, it's a bit cruddy, but it's structurally sound, it's not rusted out, and that's got, I don't know if these are poly bushes or what, but it needs a bit of a clean up, but it's in good order, so I don't need to change it, so that's a plus, and a nice surprise, I have to say. I've got the suspension apart on both sides, came apart fairly easily, and nothing was unduly seized. This is the offside, and if we go to the near side, similar condition. I've removed discs, pads, calipers, caliper brackets, lower arms, and springs, and associated spring rubbers. And I'll show you the state of some of the parts that have come off this car. These discs have had it, and the pads, terrible. But the worst thing is this lower arm. As you can see, this is the near side one, and it's completely rusted out at the bottom. The other one is okay, just needs cleaning up. So I'm replacing the discs, the pads, and this lower arm. The best I found price-wise was £198 delivered from Alfa shop, who are my new favourites, because they seem to be very fairly priced, and it was free delivery. It was 198 quid including, and that was cheaper than everybody else, plus the delivery was free, so I'm quite happy with that. I'll show you the other components now. Here are the rear calipers, which I've repainted because they weren't too bad, but there was a bit of corrosion, so I've removed the corrosion, treated it. They're made of aluminium, of course, so I thought it'd be nice to have them in good order. There's the rubbers cleaned up, and there is the new arm from Alfa shop for the near side of the car. This is the lower arm from the off side of the car, driver's side. It was less rusty, and the caliper brackets, two of them, drying in the sunshine after I've derusted them. Now there's a coil spring over there, and then there's another coil spring still in the solution. I'm using Deoxy, which is good stuff, built Hamburg again, and yeah, if you've not tried it, try it. It's very, very effective. It's removed, you know, pretty much all the rust. You have to use a little bit of abrasion to disturb the surface every now and again to remove the deposits, but you know, this was really bad, well, very cruddy, and it took a couple of days in the solution, but 98.5 I think % of all the rust is off. The surface rusting is just from when you wash it off, and it immediately rusts over in flash rust, since, you know, as the water is drying off. But there is some stuff you can get to put on to stop that happening, but I just don't have any of that right now. But anyway, I'm going to use a rust killer, and then prime and chassis black bliss, and I got caliper paint for these, so, and chassis black on the springs. The other springs still soaking in the goo. So anyway, when that's all done, I'll be able to put it back together, which would be nice. I've smartened up, cleaned up, painted, whatever, the suspension and associated components for the Spider using deoxy to remove the corrosion, and then painted them with, in the case of the caliper brackets, I've used proper caliper paint, which is the same as I've used on the caliper, which is VHT caliper paint. And on all the other stuff I've just used rattle can chassis black, which is stuff that I generally use. And several coats, left it to dry yesterday. It's good and hard today, so ready to go back on the car. Rear suspension is now back together with new brake discs, refurbished calipers, refurbished caliper holders which are stripped and painted. The lower arm on this side, the spring arm, has been completely rust stripped and repainted and rust protected. Same with the spring, and on the near side exactly the same, only that's a brand new spring pan in there. Now in all the polybush joints I used PTFE loaded silicone grease, so that when the arms move it doesn't abrade the end of the bushes, and I think I'm quite pleased with that. I've bled the brakes and it only leaves now to put the wheels back on and drop the car back down to the ground.